Okay. This is we're screaming towards the end, but I want you guys to meet Chris Ebersberg. Several people sent me text messages from the stream and from the room. And I just want you to get how important documentation is. So earlier I told you I had 6 people on my app that were not followed up yet for today. So I've already done that. So now it says 0, no follow-ups due today since I did all that. But now it says I've got 7 unlogged interactions with people that weren't in my database that are now in my database. And if you look carefully, there are pictures of all 7 of those people in my phone. So now I've got you by picture and by that information. So it says, okay, who are they? So Kathy Inglis, she's in here right now. So I just hit her picture, and it said, what do you know about Kathy Inglis? So I'm popping in here, said she is an introvert, period. Said she was in the training center in 2015 and met me, period. And said she lives in Casper, Wyoming, period. On the Saturday Zoom, period. Done. Phone says, when am I going to follow up with Kathy? So I'm going to put a week. Done. So now in a week it's going to pop up. I've got all that information. I'm going to send her a note. Please think it's authentic, Kathy, because it is going to remind me to send you a note. That picture is going to pop up. I'm going to go, who is she? Because I can't remember anything. I'm going to look at her note. I'm going to realize she's from Casper. I'm going to realize she's an introvert. I'm going to realize that I met her in 2015. And I'm going to remember that she was on this training today. And I'm going to say, I hope you got something out of the training. That's what the text will say. And keep up the great work. And then I will follow her up again in 3 months. Follow up and touches are everything. Just know that. I don't care if you're doing that in Excel. I don't care if you're using the Longevity app. I don't care if you're using tablets. I don't care if you're using notepads. I don't care what you're using. It makes no difference. I use the contact mapping app because it's taken my follow-up from a 2, and I thought it was a 10, to a 7, knowing that it could be a 10. So here's the deal. The reason I tell you that story is because I was in New Skin 30 years ago. First company, got in there, failed miserably. The hero of that deal was Chris Ebersberg. He was such a hero. I mean, he was the most beautiful man, and he had the most beautiful wife, and you're going to see him in a second, because now he's 30 years older, and he's still a beautiful man, but not like the beautiful man that he was. And he still got that same beautiful wife, and she's still beautiful, but she was really differently beautiful back then. And they were making all this money. They lived in Breckenridge. They were from Austria, and they skied, and it was unbelievable. I wanted to be Chris Ebersberg so bad. Because that's what you do with network marketing. Not one person's ever wanted to be Tom Chanel, but they wanted to be like Tom Chanel. And she hit the nail on the head. Nobody wants to be like me. I don't want you to be like me. There's only one of me. But there's plenty of just yous. Just be your best just you. Can you get that? Don't try to be me, because you'll be terrible at it. Don't try to be Nikki. You'll be terrible at it. Don't try to be Amber. You'll be terrible at it. Be your best you. Got that? Stephen, deep front row, 4 people. Thank you. So, anyway, Chris was my upline in New Skin, and he disappeared. I went off to another company. He went and started 2 more network marketing companies. He went back to Germany, had bad experiences with other people, came back. Oh, so then Dominic, my little boy Dominic. Marker?
Oh, I don't know. They're in that basket on this show.
Where? Marker? God's grace. Dominic has some problems. He's in a place called Cornerstone. Cornerstone is the greatest place for young people trying to get themselves straightened out. This is the hack from the deal. I'm sitting there reading the book at Cornerstone because I'm in the weeds. I'm powerless over Dominic. I have no idea how to help Dominic. I'm a mess. I'm still a mess. I'm going to cry in a second. So anyway, I'm in Cornerstone. I'm trying to help Dominic. And I can't help them. And I'm reading the book about Cornerstone, and it's the most amazing book, and this is their emblem. And the steps are different. And I'm going, these steps are really, really good for kids. And this is an amazing program. I wonder, so I read it a little better, and I realized that these steps at Cornerstone. Out here in this world, here's my world that I manipulate. Here's the world that I try to manipulate. I know nothing about. Out here, God has the name Chris Ebersberg. And I'm going, gee, many Christmas. I wonder if that's Chris Ebersberg from, from New Skin. So I track him down, and it's the same guy. So we're rekindled. And he was in the solar business, and he and I became friends. And he was saving lives over at Cornerstone. And he's been my friend ever since. So come on up, Chris.
Now I'm crying. Wow. So yeah, this hat, my first year in Cornerstone as a parent, a long time ago, it was in 2006, and I was new in this thing, and I wanted to get well as a parent. My kid wasn't doing so well. He was when he got in the program, and I was invited to go to a men's retreat, and they said, hey, would you like to help out? And I said, you bet. And so we made up these hats, and so I came across about 5 extras that I had. I said, Tom, I found something you might relate to. So I brought this up to Tom. My kid's doing real well. Took a while. Recovery didn't stick the first time around. Sometimes pain is the touchstone of growth. And, anyways, he's doing really well right now. He's a stylist in, gosh, it's really emotional. He's a stylist in an Aveda salon and just becoming a master at that, loving life. And really, I got out of the way, let God do his, her, or its thing, and she was benevolent in her life. So I'm a turtle on a fence post. I didn't get there by myself. So, and I'm really just a brick in the wall here. I just made brick last month. I think I'll make more than brick this month to see how it plays out. Tom asked me to share about leadership, and I really don't have a lot to add to what's been going on. You guys are so amazing. Your story is based on Jenna, right? Dana, I'm sorry, Dana. The thing I want to talk about leadership is what I heard really from Dana is the fact that she's all in. Her sound system is wired for success. Her TV's geared up for longevity app, and she's immersed in Anthony Robbins and the things that it takes for us to develop ourselves. The only thing that set my wife and I apart as leaders early on is we were all in. Somebody said early on, it's an old evangelical phrase, do it the multi-level side. It says if you set yourself on fire with what you're passionate about, people will come from miles around to watch you burn. And that's all we did. We jumped all in. We said at the time we got a blood transfusion. Our blood flowed the color of our logo. It was just we were all in. We were not part of that company. We were that company. And that's the only thing that I see it in every one of the leaders. You guys are all in. You guys made a commitment. You said, okay, what does it take? I'm going to learn the deal. I'm going to learn the pitch. I'm going to learn the value proposition. When somebody says, what do? There's no skipping of a beat. It's you know who you are. And what my wife realized early on in the business and about leadership, she said, when you talked about competition, and in the days we were competing against, when I was selling facelifts and hair growth stuff back in the day, and telling people that they didn't have to look old, and I barely looked old enough to drive a car. So it's like, yeah, we should talk. We were pretty young and looking at two. And so.
Can you speak up or move over here so they're having a hard time hearing you?
Sure.
Sorry about that.
I'll move over here. I'm sitting down this time because last time I was tripping over everything.
Right.
Is this my copy? You owe me 2 now.
Oh.
She said about competition, she goes, for those who know who they are and where they're going, there is no competition. And that's what I see. I see that with Nikki. I see that with everybody who shared. There is no doubt of who they are in this business. Mary Ann knows exactly who she is in this business. She knows exactly where she's going. There's no doubt. There's not a lot of negativity that can come across her way that's going to knock her off her track. And if it does, I know she has the tools and the skills to set herself back to center. It's one of the keystones of a leader. We were talking to a good friend of ours, Dr. James, out in the real world out there, and he said the true hallmark of a leader is someone who can convey hope, somebody who can speak with you and you walk away and you feel more hopeful about your life. And that's exactly what Nikki was talking about. Is the question is, what do you need more of? Let me help you. I may not be able to do it for you. I may not be able to be that instrument, but I may know somebody. If you need to know somebody who knows somebody, that guy's over in that room right there. We know people who know people. We can help anybody. And if it's just a smile, just a little bit of an uplift in life, That's kind of what leadership is. Tom kind of gave me a heads up on, would you want to talk about leadership? And so I did write some notes down. John Maxwell calls leadership influence. And what we're doing is I said it a long time ago, but people have this stream of life. And when you intersect that stream of life, you're like a stone or a rock in the river of their life. And what we want to do is we don't want to disrupt too much their flow. We need to be compatible with their flow, but appropriate to it. If we splash in too hard, we become offensive and their ears shut down anyways, right? So we need to learn how to influence. We need to learn how to influence ourselves. Can we influence ourselves with our right actions and our right behaviors? Dr. Rouse said the hallmark of leadership is being a purveyor of hope. We also have to understand that there's two different things. You can be a leader, and there are leadership models. And so as a leader, we learn the different methods and the different situations. We might have to be a little dictatorial at times. We might need to rally the troops and be democratic. We might need to be inspirational as leaders. So we learn that through time and being in business. I think the other thing that the hallmark of every leader that I've ever seen, known, and what I've aspired to is leaders are lifelong learners. When I talk to somebody, when I used to interview for sales reps, I'll ask them, what was the last book you read? And if there's an or listen to or whatever, what's the last success book or self-improvement book? And if they didn't have an answer, that's not my person. Successful people learn. Successful people are in it. They're taking the extra time. Sure, it's easier to watch TV. There's no BV in TV, so shut it off and move forward. And that's an old Amway. It used to be old. There's no PV in TV, so and it's true. Unless it's longevity related or something or some sort of inspirational thing, we need to move forward on that. So it's this immersion quality, reading the books, and it's not just the multi-level books. There's a language that we learn in multi-level, but there's the rest of that pie out there. There's this little strip there. People don't talk in our language. Tom brought it up the other day when we started introducing these concepts. Well, I'm a blah, 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 and I have this many people in my down. And if we use words that people don't relate to, we're not going to relate to people. I used to be very active on the state level of Alcoholics Anonymous as a district representative for my district. And I was also what was called the CPC rep, so worked with the cooperation with the professional communities, and we'd do seminars on Alcoholics Anonymous. And we had to go through training on how not to use any word in our secret coded language, and it was held in our book called The Big Book. And it's hard to talk about things like multi-level without using multi-level terms. But if we start using terms and talking above people, we're not relating to them. And leaders relate. Actually, leaders are really purveyors of relevance. They make themselves and their ideas relevant to other people, and they find the relevance in other people. We match people. We just want to make sure that everybody's in the right place because we know where we're going and we know how that fits. I heard one of you all say, know your plan. What is the plan? And the big killer in this deal is you're afraid. Who here has talked to people about their opportunity? Everybody. Who here has hesitated to pull the trigger because you didn't know what you were going to tell them to do next? It's probably one of the biggest problems in the industry, and that comes from learning. We need to know the process, know the steps. Then you role play the steps. That's what leaders do, and Tom gives the opportunity every Tuesday night here to come up. If you want to practice the presentation, text Tom. He'll get you up here. You can practice, and you need to we need to be willing to make mistakes because there is no such thing as perfect. We're never going to get there. So, I've got something I'm going to read to you in just a second. So, if we become what we aspire to be, we become stupid. If we, in our hearts and our actions and our thoughts and our behaviors are congruent to that where the things that we're going, that congruence builds belief, and belief dictates all performance. If we are performing and recruiting and talking to people, it's only for one reason. It's a belief issue. It's what don't I believe? What about the value proposition don't I fully buy into that I'm reserving? Where's my reservation? When I first got out of corporate America, I had a list of the people that I wasn't going to contact because my ego wasn't ready for it yet. If they thought I was doing this, oh my God, they'll say Ebersberg's like melted. Send him away, pack him off. He has no more value. He's not a solar superstar anymore. And there's a lot of things that we have to evaluate, and I can't do that on my own. This is not an I program. This is a we program. Together we become well. I'll do another illustration at some other time. So if we don't evaluate and be honest and reflective and get around people that are going to call us on our you know what, we're not going to move forward. Leaders are willing to be honest and candid about themselves and willing to be uncomfortable, because the process to the top's not always comfortable. We operate in our comfort zone until we expand it, and that expansion takes a little bit of a stretch. Stretch too far, we start bleeding. We don't want to do that. All right, I'll wrap this up. I heard a guy, Jeff Olson, who wrote the book Slight Edge, said something that's probably the most profound thing that I've heard in network marketing for leadership. And he said that if we make our campaign just about ourselves, and where you're going, I'm going to be this and I'm that, and it'll never grow any bigger than that. Sure, you might be able to be ambassador, but it's not about that. It's about, when does Marianne become ambassador? When does James become ambassador? We have to make this vision and mission something much more larger than, that was my mistake in the first deal. I made it about me. I was going to become a blue diamond. I was going to do this. Sure, we had diamonds, but they were my trophies and my notches, and that wasn't, I was young. I told you, I was really young. And this time around, it's not about me. It is, but it isn't. I have a passion and a mission to change people's lives, but there's no dollar sign on it. Dollar's going to follow that. I already know that. I'm old enough to know that. Follow your passion, and it really does manifest if your intentions are pure and you've got the right people around you. So if you make it bigger than yourself, a mission and a vision, people will tie into that. Plus, we don't have to have our ego in it. If I can just bring a little bit more awareness to this industry, I mean, people literally, I don't know why, people are not lined up 10 deep to have, if Tom was in corporate America, they kick him out. But I mean, HR would have him in about 3.2 seconds. But we love people. You can't love people in corporate America anymore. Not openly. You can say it, sort of, kind of, not really. Never mind. It's a harsh place. And if you're in there too long, you become changed and shelled and inhibited. And I'm getting those shells off. But what I'm saying is, if Tom were to consult in corporate America, he would be paid $400, $500, $600 an hour, maybe $1,000, maybe $10,000 a day. And here in this business, you can work with that individual. If Nikki were consulting in real business, she'd be charging $200, $300 an hour. People should be lined 10 deep to be able to have the opportunity to be coached by you guys. You guys have the finest education. Everything I learned for corporate America, I learned in multi-level. I mean, all these success skills. But then you have to go beyond the alignment, all the rah-rah and all that stuff. It has to be taken to the next step. You have to put the mechanism, the steps, the plans behind it. Align your mechanism, align your vision, your alignment, lead with your heart, your alignment. You can have anything that you want. I mean, it's really that simple. This business is, longevity is a complicated universe. But it's a very simple business. And if we can get out of all the 27,000 million products that we have and possibilities in every different passion, and just realize it boils down to this. What's my smallest viable market that I need to sell to make my life happen? And, well, it's probably 9, but I'm going to say a different number. I'm going to say 4, because there's this comp plan that's really cool. And once I get my 4th person, I get to make all sorts of money very passively from people feeding me on our system. So if I can get on board with a CEO pack, which is where the coding comes from, if I commit to an auto ship, $100, $150, whatever it is for my team, for my needs, my personal needs, and if I know that I have 4 people who will do the exact same thing, no more, no less, just commit to that, it cycles through, it's done. And for some reason, we decide we need to complicate it. Anybody know Seth Godin? He's really good. His latest book here. This is my new kind of thing. Tom says, my last book is my favorite book, so it's not really actually. I'm in Ray Dalio's book right now, but I'm still in this one. At the very end, it says, marketing works, and now it's your turn. So he calls this is the tyranny of perfect. Perfect closes the door. It asserts that we're done, that this is the best we can do. Worse, perfect forbids us to even try. To seek perfection and not reach it is failure. The possibility of better. Better opens the door. Better challenges us to see what's there and begs us to imagine how we can improve on that. Better invites us in and gives us a chance to seek dramatic improvement on behalf of those we seek to serve. Okay, hold yourself. The magic of good enough. Good enough isn't an excuse or a shortcut. Good enough leads to engagement. We heard about engagement today, right? Engagement leads to trust. Trust gives us a chance to see, if we look close enough, and seeing allows us to learn. Learning allows us to make a promise, and a promise might earn us an enrollment. An enrollment is precisely what we need to achieve better. Ship your work, it's good enough. Then make it better. Help. When we offer it, we're being generous. When we ask for it, we're trusting someone else to see us and care about us. On the other hand, when somebody refuses to offer help or ask for it, everyone is closed, on defense, afraid of the other. If there's no connection, we can't make things better. So thanks for being here today and being part of this wonderful thing. I've learned so much from you guys, and I love you all. Thank you.
It's very graceful. So go home and go, you know, this is it. This is all we can do is give you everything we've got. If that's not enough, we're done. So
We love you. You have a big heart.
yeah, we love you guys. Thank you. Now here.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here, thank you.
Very